Alright, so this is going to be part 4 to What If Deku had Manifest. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
The bad bitch, like she average. I'm a savage, little hoe, what you want, do? I'm about cash, if the raw fast, I'ma get that little nigga by any means.
Alright, so before we get started with this What If, I'd like to say a few announcements. First being that my newest episode 3 of One Season Run, will be out soon and it's going to be on the Classroom of the Elites. And like I did for my other video, I'm going to have you guess basically the song that I'm going to use for the intro, since every episode's going to have a different intro. And yeah, so for this episode, it's going to be a song by XXX Tentacion. And basically, if anyone guesses the song, I'm going to give them a shout out. I already posted something on Discord as well as my community tab, so you could comment down on those, or you could comment down on this video and tell me your guess for the song. And if you get it right, I'll give you a shout out. Next is I'm going to do an explain video on UA Year 1 on Class 1A. So I made a poll yesterday on what explain video you would like to see, and I gave you like 5 different options, I think. And basically Class 1A was the clear winner. So I'm going to do that sometime soon. So yeah. So in the last part, we just got done with the kind of USJ. So in this one, we're going to go over the sports festival. So we would start off in the day that Aizawa would tell the class that the sports festival is coming up, and he would tell them that to choose their kind of internship wisely so that they have no regrets in the future. Deku would think about this, and he would think about going with Fat Gum, since that's the same agency that his brother goes to. If you don't know Fat Gum, basically he is the person that Tamaki he internships with. He's gonna be in season 4 of My Hero, and he's that kind of that fat character in the opening with the kind of yellow jacket and that kind of black eye mask, I think that you call it. So yeah, if you look in the newest intro, you can see him there next to the big 3. And yeah, so Deku would think about this, and he would think about going with Fat Gum since his brother goes there, but he's not really too sure yet. So Aizawa would continue and emphasize, training for that week so you guys can do their best. So Deku at lunchtime, All Might would still basically talk to him, get him to the teacher's lounge and talk to him about how he has to do his best during the kind of sports festival so that he could get a pretty good internship, as well as one day that he's not going to be there one day, and he's going to have to face someone named One for All. And by the time, not One for All for One, and by the time that happens, he needs to be ready, because he's not always going to be there. So Deku would basically tell All Might that he would tell him not to worry, because when that time comes, he'll be strong enough to do so. Because in this one, Deku would have more confidence due to the fact that he has a quirk. So yeah, and this would reassure All Might, and he wouldn't really have as many worries as he used to. So with that being kind of said, this is when Deku would start training for that week, and he would start training with his brother Tamaki, and Tamaki would also be training with the big 3, so Deku would come along. So the reason why they're training is because the sports festival is not exclusive to the year 1 or exclusive to the first years, because I'm pretty sure the other classes, other grades, also participate in the sports festival, just on their own, on a different kind of thing. So yeah, and then because of that, he would be training, and he'd be training with the big 3, as I said. So Deku would do some combat training with Mirio and Tamaki, and he would also train on trying to kind of master his quirk and try to be able to have a lot of kind of synergy with it, basically transforming different parts of his body in succession. So when he changes to one, and then he could kind of chain these kind of changes together so that it is a kind of combo, basically. And he would also work on his stamina with Nejire, since that's kind of her thing. her thing is that she has a lot of stamina, so he would also train with her so that she could so that Deku could also have or train his stamina with her, basically. So we would get to the day of the sports festival, and this is when, what's it called? This is when Todoroki would tell Deku, and he would kind of confront him just how he does in the anime, and basically say that he's going to win, and that he's going to beat Deku, because he just says that he's stronger than him, and Deku doesn't really know how to respond to this because he wasn't really expecting Todoroki to say this, but he basically thinks of something on the spot and tells him that, all right, just try your best and let's see if that actually happened. So Todoroki doesn't really say much about this, and this is when Bakugo is kind of angry, and he would tell both of them that neither of them are going to win and that he is actually going to win. So Deku doesn't really care, and neither does Todoroki, so both of them just kind of ignore him, and this gets Bakugo kind of mad. So they would walk out and to the field, and this is where they're actually going to do the speech. So Deku would be the one who makes the speech, and he would basically say what you would think, that, you know, a lot of people trained hard for this moment, and he basically wants everyone to do their best and see who comes up on top. So with that done, this is when they would start the kind of event. So this is when they would go with I guess also a side note, basically, before they started the event, this is where in that kind of room, that kind of changing room, I guess you would call it, where all these students were before they went out to the field, Deku would have been started to eat a few things. He would have had like a kind of bag with a bunch of mixed kind of things and kind of like small kind of pieces of food, and this is where he would get a lot of the items that he would get, you know, so he could use transformations. So he would eat a bunch of small things from a bunch of different kind of creatures, so he would have that just in case he needed it too. So because he wouldn't be able to carry that with him throughout the event. So basically at the kind of at the starting line, this is where basically Midnight would say go, and everyone would kind of rush to that kind of opening. And as always, a lot of people would get stuck in that kind of gateway, and the only ones to really pass at first would be Class 1A. So Deku at this point, he would use his kind of grasshopper legs to jump over the kind of people that are there, so that he could get past the kind of gateway. And after that, he would basically switch over to his kind of chicken legs, I guess, so that he could run faster, since it's kind of a flat surface, so it's easy for him to kind of maneuver, right? At the same time, he would be using a kind of small percentage of One For All in his legs, basically. So I would guess around 10%, I guess. So it really wouldn't do any harm to him, especially in this kind of state. So he would run past, and this is where he would get to the kind of 0-pointers, and some of them, the first one would be frozen due to Todoroki kind of freezing them, so he would just get go past it, right? So this is when he would catch up with the rest of the kind of class. So this is when Deku would basically change his kind of arms into wings, so he could reduce the weight and continue running faster. And this is where he would catch up to Bakugo and Todoroki. So what he would do in this one, right as he gets to the kind of bombs or the landmines, this is when he would just use like around, I guess, 50% of One For All into his legs, and basically boost them into the air, and using the kind of wings to glide down kind of past the bombs or the landmines. And this would cause Todoroki and Bakugo to rush, since they want to come in first. So as this is happening, it's kind of a almost 3-way tie, but I would say that in this case, I guess Deku would get first and Todoroki would get second, while Bakugo would get third. So as that's done, we would get to the second part, and this is actually the cavalry battle. And yeah, So I'm gonna do the cavalry battle in this video, and then in the next video, we're gonna go over the kind of final fight or the tournament part, and then some of the same fight. So the kind of the basically the same kind of teams are made, since the top three are still the top three, just as they are in canon. So yeah. So Bakugo would still have the same team, as well as Todoroki and Deku, right? They would all have the same teams as they do in canon. So Deku's kind of game plan is to avoid everyone, or I guess his game plan is to basically go on the offensive, since he could do it. So what Deku does is he has the same kind of team, so he tells Uraraka to make everyone weightless, so this could upgrade the kind of this could upgrade the kind of speed, so they don't have to carry as much. And they would still, I think in this one they would have Tokoyami as the head, so that he could defend himself, while Deku actually goes for, we could have Deku at the top and Tokoyami as the kind of the bottoms, so that Deku could focus on basically capturing other people's flags or headbands, while everyone else kind of protects him. So what happens is that they would go around and they would use Mai's I think that's the girl with the kind of gadgets. They would use Mai's kind of hover boots to kind of help them get around, and they would use Tokoyami's kind of dark shadow to basically block attacks that are coming through. Deku would basically transform his hands into tentacles, and he would use this to basically steal the headbands of local, people near him. So Todoroki would see this and go after Deku first. Deku, the first hits that he would do would be with the ice, and Tokoyami would be there to kind of block it or help block it. And Bakugo would come in between the two to try to kind of stop him and get Deku's kind of headband. So he would rush him just as normal, and with the combination of Tokoyami kind of blocking it, as well as Deku transforming his hands into shells to block any explosions that would come through, Bakugo would be unsuccessful. And this is when Monoma would come and try to steal his headband, which he would succeed in doing, basically causing Bakugo to be distracted and having to chase him for the rest of the kind of cavalry battle. So Todoroki would go after Deku after this, and he would find it unsuccessful. So this is when Ida has the plan of using Reciprocal Burst to basically go and rush him. So as they do this, they would go and rush him, and Todoroki would not be able to get the flag or the headband. And the reason why I would say this is because I think Deku would be fast enough to transform his body, right? Let's say that he could transform his kind of torso into that of a snake, so that he could actually have higher reflexes, as well as being able to bend in irregular kind of ways, right? So this would give him the advantage to kind of basically bend in ways that are not natural, which Todoroki would not be expecting. So this would basically make him miss, and Ida would be kind of out for the count, since he wouldn't be able to use his engines for somewhat of a long time. And this is when the kind of cavalry battle would be over, with Deku getting a lot more points than he would need to, since he was already number 1. So this would get out a couple of people out of the kind of thing before they would have a chance to actually progress. So yeah, I'm going to end it here, and look forward to those 2 videos I mentioned at the beginning. And yeah, with that being said, this is going to be the end of the video. So yeah,